Attending conference chair, presenters, and all the audience. Thank you for coming for the presentation. I'm Eshantha Ariyadasa, PhD student from the School of Social and Political Studies in Peters University, South Australia. My research, first I would like to introduce my research. My research is entitled Life Chances of Children and Young People in Institutional Care in Sri Lanka. It's a critical review of policy and governance which reference to case studies. Today, the flow of my presentation will include three segments, one of which is an introduction of my research, and an overview of my research, and an overview of the KDU paper. KDU paper, of course, entitled Poverty and Perception, Driving Sri Lankan Children's Homes at Multiple Levels. I am studying policy and governance perspectives of all children's homes in Sri Lanka. My aim is to improve the life chances of nearly 20,000 young children institutionalized in these children's homes, labeled as open, abundant, and destitute. In many countries, including Australia, where I am studying for my PhD, put great faith in family-based strategies such as foster care, kinship care, that is, and palliative care, for those children who are deprived of parental care. And the UN Child Rights Convention emphasizes that where institutional care facilities remain, alternatives should be developed in the context of an overall deinstitutionalization strategy. Despite being a signatory to this convention, the situation in Sri Lanka is that institutional care is almost the sole solution for children deprived of parental care. Thus, I am doing this study because in many children's homes, children's rights and their needs have not been properly addressed. And there is a major gap between the policy and practice. Therefore, there is an urgent need to provide strategies to eliminate these gaps. To do this, I have collected data from over 400 questionnaires and 40 interviews through a nationwide field study involving policymakers and service providers. My research so far shows that children have not been included in the decision-making process. They stay too long in institution environments like this and are denied their right to a family. And it takes too long to reintegrate them into a family unit. So, I will start from the statement of the problem. The human rights of the institutionalized children have not been properly addressed by the institutions responsible for alternative care of children. Therefore, my aims, they have three major aims in the context of children's rights. Produce guidelines for the prevention of children being institutionalized. To promote guidelines for policy and governance of institutions for alternative care of children. And to propose guidelines for advocating the care of children after reintegration. Research questions. How can we prevent children being institutionalized and sustain their lives in their natural birth environments? How can we safeguard the human rights of children in institutional care. How can we advocate for the well-being of the reintegrated children from institutional care? To address these such questions, I conducted a participatory action research. The research was approved by the University Social and Behavioral Ethics Committee. I included all 9 provinces. Participants were policymakers and service providers, those who are responsible for institutional care of children. I used varied questionnaires, closed and open-ended questions, and semi-structured interviews. My sample size, as you can see, in the perspectives of policy officers, 290 probation officers. It's a census approach. I approached all 298 POs and all 287 child right promotion officers. And then I approached all 216 children's homes and approached with the questionnaire survey for all 416 matrons and wardens. And then I interviewed 9 out of 9 provincial commissioners of the Department of Provision and Child Care Services. And I interviewed 30 managers of voluntary and non-governmental organizations. Responses. Out of the 290 POs, provision officers, 48% response rate, and out of the 287 CRPOs, there was a response rate of 4%. And from the caregivers, that's the wardens and matrons, I had a response rate of 28%. Findings. Sri Lanka has not adopted strategies from the UN guidelines to prevent children from being institutionalized. Children have not been included in the decision-making process. These take too long in institutional care environments and are denied their right to a family, or it takes too long to reintegrate them into a family. How do I address these issues? By introducing a theoretical framework to address the human rights issues of children's homes, and by proposing a model to reintegrate these children with their families effectively. Furthermore, my research will suggest strategies which will empower the children to have a say in their own well-being. Now I move the conference paper, which is titled as Poverty and Perception, Driving Sri Lankan Children's Homes at Multiple Levels. I have considered 2 aspects of institutional care of children. The first one is how economic factors have affected children in institutionalization. Second aspect is how people's social and cultural perspectives have impacted on children and their rights during their institutionalization. Contribution to this particular KDU international research and the paper which I have submitted contributed in 2 manners. That is to address two research questions out of the 3 major. The first one, how can we prevent children being institutionalized? And the second one is how can we safeguard the human rights of children in institutional care? When I take the first question, and it addresses the first research question by means of poverty drives the institutionalization of children. Poverty is a direct reason for institutionalization. The parents' migration for work abroad has also increased children's institutionalization. The parents voluntarily request institutionalization of their children. The second research question, and the second segment of the research paper is entitled Poverty or its Perception Drives the Management of Children's Homes. I have specifically explained and discussed on the tradition of donation arms in the socio-economic and cultural perspectives of the tradition of dance. Well-managed children's homes from the general public perspective need no further support. And when we discuss the positive and the negative aspects, the positive aspects, the policymaker says it eases the ongoing management cost. No, I'm sorry, the service providers says that it eases the ongoing management cost, and it provides institutional children with a chance to mix with the public. And in a contact list of public and private donors, it eases to find the potential future support. And negative aspects are the vast number of people that participate in the management of the home. This is when it comes to the DANE, the arms scheme. It consumes vital time of the children, and the public sees these children as hopeless and helpless, which is kind of a marginalization. And the children may come to believe that this is their fate. It makes them more vulnerable and discourages them to develop their potential. So, I have come up with few suggestions, and agreement between the parents and the government to decide who is going to be responsible for the well-being of children. This is especially when the children migrate or work abroad. And to restructure the DANE strategies with an overall intention to enhance children's life chances while safeguarding their rights. And an open debate to convince the public donors of the relative and absolute reality of how their funds should be utilized by management. Access for the general public to participate in the management team. These are the kind of suggestions that I have made in my conference paper. So I conclude my presentation now, and you are more than welcome to come up with questions.
Thank you very much for your answer. I think you have to wait for how to write for the next session.
Thank you very much.
Like